Welcome to the Digital Marketing Insights podcast, brought to you by Brightside Digital.
Hi everyone, welcome to the show. I'm delighted to say we have Eamonn today, who's a content marketer and strategy consultant. Eamonn, how you doing?
Good to be on the show, Thomas.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thanks for coming on. Eamonn, let's start off by you saying a little bit about yourself and your career to date, please.
Okay, good. My name is Eamonn, and I'm a content marketing kind of consultant and strategist, and been kind of working in content marketing for maybe the last 4 or 5 years. So before that, I kind of dabbled in different bits of marketing. I worked for like a big social media agency, managed did marketing for a gin distillery for a while, which is interesting, and then I kind of like did different bits of marketing and kind of find my feet in kind of content when I joined a company called GlowFox, which is like a gym management startup. Was a gym management startup making software for like kind of F45 type kind of fitness studios. So that's where I really dived into kind of content marketing, and I built out kind of their content marketing machine from scratch because they had really nothing before. They had bits and pieces, but didn't have any coherent strategy. So I was there for 4 or 5 years, and then after that, I worked for one or two other companies, and now I'm just kind of like doing different kind of projects as a consultant and kind of looking maybe for another full-time role, but I'm kind of happy enough kind of jumping between from project to project.
Love it. And so content, any particular aspect of content that you excel at, what do you see as your main strength in that space?
So like two things I probably enjoy the most are the strategy side and I'd say the writing side. So like I'd always love writing. So like kind of creating kind of like really compelling kind of content and copy is something that kind of would drive me day to day. I think like I can really enjoy kind of doing that because I think like in content marketing or in content there's a lot of boring kind of content. If you read a lot of companies' blogs, they're not very compelling. Really like the best kind of write copy and kind of content that really kind of takes the kind of reader on a journey, kind of offers them value, kind of solves the problems that they're having sort of way. So the writing side of it's really something that like I'm really interested in. I really kind of enjoy trying to be good at and trying to like communicate an idea well. And then the second side is strategy. So like kind of the strategy aspect of kind of like, okay, how do we reach the audience? Is it a blog? Is it a podcast? Is it a video? Actually really kind of trying to dig in and like understanding, because like audiences in different industries are kind of like different, and like their needs are different and what they consume is different. So kind of coming up with like how you actually reach them, the strategy actually reach them and actually grow an audience and actually then convert that audience into maybe a paying customer down the line. That kind of like strategy aspect is something I really enjoy as well.
Do you have any preferences for platforms that you like producing content out? Is there anything that you would say to our listeners at the moment that you see there's loads of good results on a certain platform, like reach wise, maybe impressions wise?
I think like it's kind of hard. Like it's at the moment, I think what it seems to be is that everything is trending towards like short form video platforms. So like your likes of like TikTok, YouTube Reels, Instagram Reels. So I think like at the moment, video seems to be like it has been the last couple of years. I think every year like a report comes out is like video is like whatever you should be doing, but like not a lot of people do it really well. I think, but at the moment, I think like short form video seems to be where a lot of companies are growing sort of way. Like not even just B2C, but like B2B as well, because it just is like I think it's become, if you look at most social media platforms, that's where a lot of the content, like that's why like a podcast like this, for instance, like people are growing the podcast by cutting short clips and growing it that way, sort of like and like getting bite-sized bits and sort of way like and making them kind of trying like making them go kind of viral, I suppose, even though that's quite hard to do. But like I think like the short form videos is definitely the platform I'd recommend people to be trying to go towards now. But then at the same time, as I said before, like I think you should try and really understand where your audience is first before the platform. Like I think there's no point in trying to like force a platform in an industry that's not going to work. So like maybe in your industry a blog is better, or a long form podcast or long form video. So short form video might not be the thing. So like I think it's trying to understand who your audience is before you actually pick the platform is really important.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. Like obviously this podcast now, we take shorts using AI to go on TikTok and YouTube shorts and stuff like that. And there is, from an organic reach point of view, the views, the impressions is huge by doing that. so it does give a bigger
Yeah,
audience.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
do you have an example, Eamon, of previous work that you're really proud of? Maybe a campaign that you've made really successful.
I think the thing I'm proud of the most was growing the blog at Glowfox, because at the beginning there was no one reading it, and it was very. When I joined the blog, it was like quite like kind of it was they put out like a 500-word article every few weeks, not really kind of optimized for SEO, not really kind of aimed at anything sort of way. Like, and in that gym management software industry, there was like a couple of big players. One of them was called Mindbody, and they had like a blog that they were releasing that had like probably close to like 100,000 people visiting it a month sort of way. So we had like 500 people visiting our blog a month. So that kind of like had to come up with a strategy to actually compete with that kind of level of traffic sort of way. So um, what he did is we grew the blog. So we grew the blog from like to about 90 when I left. It was about 90,000 visitors a month from like 500 over the course of like 3 to 4 years. So that was a pretty good kind of like outlay sort of way. I think we're a pretty good like result traffic wise. So that's the kind of campaign I was most proud of, because we were kind of up against like companies with bigger resources in America, and we were like starting out of Dublin, even though we're aimed at the American market, and we aimed at our content in the American market because that's where like the company's growing into. At the start, it was kind of like a big hill to climb. So like we came up with like a strategy to actually create a blog that was compelling, that solved like people's problems, and actually grew, and it had like a targeted focus in terms of keywords that like people would be looking up as well. Like, so I think that was a thing I'm proudest of the most.
Like that challenge in itself is so difficult to regularly identify new keywords, new subjects to write in that. Like what kind
Yeah.
of quantity are we talking post wise that you increased it to? And secondly, like how did you find those topics? What did you use to identify keywords and things like that?
So yeah, I think I'll tackle the keyword thing first. So like at the start, so the strategy we came up with was it's called topic clustering. So you take two or three big kind of topics in your industry, and you create like ultimate guides around them, ultimate guide kind of blogs, and then you have like sub topic blogs that come out of that. So like for example, in the fitness industry, you create an ultimate guide around fitness marketing, around fitness sales, around opening a gym, around growing a gym. They're the big topics. So once you identify them, you create ultimate guides around them, and then you create subtopic blogs coming out from them. So that's how you kind of then create your calendar. So like you'd use the likes. So like to come up with those topics and keywords, you use like SEMrush is what we use the most to like research keywords sort of way in that industry. And then you're kind of talking to customers, you're listening to sales calls, you're reading what other people are doing in your space as well, like to come up with like a kind of like cluster of topics and keywords that you write about. So that's how we did that, and then that's how we then formed. Once you did that, you're able to like form your calendar. So like at the start, we published probably a blog a week, and then we increased it to 2 blogs a week, and then 3 blogs a week. And at one stage, we were publishing about 6 to 7 blogs a week, which is a lot, but we grew quite fast. But the quality maybe suffered slightly, so we kind of had to dial it back to kind of maybe 3 to 4 blogs a week, and that was like a huge thing. So we kind of use a network like of like kind of freelancers and like myself and an internal writer as well to kind of like push out that level of content. But when we did that, the kind of pace and like the quality as well, like it allowed us to grow quite fast then.
And like just to ask because it's so relevant now, are you using AI as an aid to get you better at writing or creative ideas and stuff? Is that something you're exploring?
Kind of like I think at the start when AI came out, I was very kind of against it. I think I was very kind of like, I think like this is kind of going to really, and I still think is this to a degree, it's going to like make everything very much the same. Like people, I can already see it in like company blogs if they're just pumping out content, because like AI recycles what is in the internet already sort of way. Like, so if you're growing a blog, say in the marketing space, for example, like, and you get AI to write a couple of different blogs about how to run a marketing business, they're going to just regurgitate what is on the HubSpot blog and the Intercom blog and like spit it back out again. So like, I think in terms of content creation, I wouldn't be enthusiastic to use it, but as a research tool, I think definitely. I think like depends on what tool you're using. Like if you're like, for example, like Chat GTP only goes up to 2021, I think, in terms of information today. Like, so it's probably not a massively relevant research tool, like for a lot of things, maybe like if you want something that's up to date. But I think like Google's Bard gives you like real time information today. So I think as a research tool and kind of like maybe an outline tool, I think it's kind of like a good thing to use. But I think if the actual final product, you need to have a human writer with an opinion and a writing style and a kind of like way of kind of like communicating an idea behind it, or it's just not going to really, the person reading it's going to figure out very quickly this is written by either a low quality writer or an AI bot, I think.
Yeah, fair, really fair point. And is there any particular softwares you use to enhance your role, just day-to-day things that help you with your work?
Yeah, the one like when we the kind of kind of the secret sauce behind growing the blog of GlowFox was that this software we use, and I definitely recommend it. It's called Market Muse. It's like an optimization and kind of research software. We came across it just like we're trying to like at the very beginning myself and like the head of marketing GlowFox, we're trying to find out how we actually grow this blog. We're looking like SEO consultants and all this kind of different stuff. And we came across this software called Market Muse that was based out of Boston, I think. And we had a chat with them, and they seemed to have like they advised the kind of topic cluster strategy, and they showed us that their software basically helps you one look at what your competitors are writing about, two kind of identify topics within your own kind of industry and with your own even that you've written about already, and then helps you kind of like make plans around how you should like plan out your clusters and your content and stuff. And then when you've written the content, it kind of gives it kind of a ranking score to kind of like tell you, okay, this has a good chance of ranking for this certain word, and then compare it to whatever's ranking at the top to give you an insight of like what you might be missing in terms of writing about sort of it. So I definitely recommend that. I'm not sure like it's something like I mentioned to a couple of people before. I don't know how big or like small it is, but it's definitely something that's helps me and like kind of my different roles have done. But like it's definitely a software I recommend using.
Love
It
it,
is.
love it. And where do you go for new insights and information, Eamonn, which is probably tightly loose to that?
Yeah, I think like in terms of like what I kind of look at, I definitely try and look at like what the best people at content marketing are doing. So like what I did the intercom's content marketing is probably the best in like SaaS, I think. Like so I'll always be like looking at what they're writing about and like how what strategies they're doing, how they're presenting their podcasts, and like MailChimp's another one, MailChimp is another really good like content marketing machine. I think rather than kind of like listening to like kind of like, podcasts about marketing and stuff like that, which I do in a sense, but I actually kind of rather before looking at like what people are actually doing and trying to figure out, okay, why are they doing that? And like, how is it like Intercom's really good one. Like the guy who used to run the content marketing there, a guy called John Collins, he's a few interviews online, like different podcasts. I definitely listen to his podcast because he came up with like kind of probably like the whole idea of like content marketing for SaaS, in back 2014, 15, like they grew a blog that was written internally by experts sort of way. Like, so I always listen to his stuff or listen to his conversations because I find it quite insightful about how you actually grow something. And like, it goes back to like, again, as I said, like understanding like what your audience is sort of way. Like, so like, I definitely just keep an eye, try and like in your space, keep an eye on who's the best at content marketing and just figure out what they're doing. I think that's the best thing to do rather than listen to loads of like how-to podcasts. I think they're useful, but like definitely look at who's doing the
Yeah,
best, I
that's
think.
really good advice. And away
Yeah,
from your strengths, is there any areas that you're looking to upskill into?
yeah, going back to what I said earlier about like video being like a kind of a platform that's definitely growing a lot, or like that's definitely where people are sort of way, like definitely video. Because I actually did a degree and did a diploma in film production. So like I have like a lot of video skills, but I haven't used them like in my role. I kind of either hire like a freelancer to do video or hire some to edit. So like I think it's something I kind of want to add to my kind of like skill set is be better at kind of video like editing and like video shooting as well. Like because I think it just if you have that as a content marketing manager, it's definitely like you have more control over like what you're kind of producing and like you lessens the cost as well having to get like a freelance person to go shoot stuff. Like so I think at the moment I'm kind of working on getting a camera, getting kind of a bit more good at editing, better shooting and stuff like that, so kind of like add that kind of like skill because I think it's going to be very important in the next couple of
Yeah, I
years, I
think
think.
that's brilliant. And looking at
Yeah.
the digital industry as a whole, is there anything that really excites you that might be coming, something of interest to everyone listening?
I think going back, I think something I saw, I've been seeing a lot recently is that like there's an SEM Rush report that came out about the content marketing like kind of trends and stuff like that. Like the number one trend was trying to like was like as I said, like understanding your audience is the key to like success today. Like so I think like people need to be trending way more towards kind of like really digging into like talking to actual customers and like listening to customer calls instead of like doing like just kind of keyword research or like competitor, like actually really get on the ground and listen to what people are saying because the kind of AI kind of thing is going to produce lots of content that's quite samey sort of way. Like, so I think you really need to dig into who your customer is. So like, I'm kind of excited to see if companies will actually kind of get good at actually producing really unique content rather than kind of going with the kind of AI craze and just throwing out content. So I'm hoping like they'll go that direction rather than just kind of do like the same thing everyone else is doing
Yeah,
now.
that point you made earlier around the fact that customer services or keeping your ear to the ground of what the sales team or what's coming through from people out there,
Yeah,
that kind of content isn't going to come through really in search. It's going to be something specific to your business or something that you're not going to be able to really get AI to write on your behalf. So it's in particular that
yeah,
kind of content you're highlighting as a
yeah.
big strength.
Yeah, definitely. Because I saw it was interesting. I saw like a LinkedIn. I saw a couple of things on LinkedIn recently that are interesting. There's a company called DataBox. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They're like they're a company in America, but they've been running a survey among content marketers about like how they generate content, and like the number one way people generate content is keyword research. And it's just like, and then have a like a poll or whatever, like, and keyword research comes up first, and like near the bottom is like talking to the customer, which is mental. Like, because it should be really the other way around. You should be talking to the customer to understand exactly what you need to write about in a sense. And then there's a few conversations around that, and then there's someone just wrote underneath a comment going like, company blogs used to be exciting when the founder wrote it. Like it's kind of funny if you look back, going back to the Intercom example, the guy who's the CEO there, Des Trainer, he wrote the blog. Like, he just wrote the blog every Wednesday, put out a blog before like kind of company blogs were a thing, and like people were way more connected to it because it's coming straight from the kind of founder. And then they kind of expanded that into kind of like people internal, like, so the head of product writes a product blog, the marketing person writes a marketing blog. I think like that kind of stuff is like, it should be where people are heading towards, like kind of have more of an expert kind of opinion driven content rather than relying again on a bot or relying on kind of keyword research. Like, be very kind of like try and like make the content as human as possible, I think.
Yeah, really good answer. And Eamon, lastly, unfortunately, I have to ask you the last question I'm going to ask you, which is if you could boil out one personality trait you have yourself that you could pass on to others, what would it be?
I think definitely when it comes to content writing, you have to have like, is maybe resilience, or kind of like this kind of mindset of like you have to keep going. You kind of have to kind of keep kind of like, because like most blogs are what, between 1,000 to 2,000 words sometimes, or you have to have that kind of like, I suppose it's kind of resilience, or kind of like have this kind of um like kind of like an idea in your head you're not going to give up in a sense, because like it's very easy to kind of overwhelmed, I suppose, by a lot of the content. So I have this kind of very kind of like, okay, I'm gonna get this done, get this done, get this done sort of way. Like, so you have to be kind of resilient to kind of push through, I suppose. So that's kind of definitely something I pass on if I could to other
Yeah,
people.
great answer. Great answer.
Yeah.
And that's it. Eamon, if anyone wants to reach out to you, how can they find you?
LinkedIn, so like Eamonn Curley, just on LinkedIn, and I kind of write a Substack that's linked in there. That's kind of like, semi-regularly. I'm gonna do a bit of work on making it a bit more regular, but I kind of put my thoughts in there like semi-regularly enough as well. So that's
Love
linked
it.
on
And
there.
I'll tag you obviously after so anyone can find you after. But that's it, Eamon. Thanks so
Yeah,
much for being on the show. Thanks
perfect.
everyone for listening and
Thanks
everything
so much,
else.
Thomas.